Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. A, legal notice number 53 of 2025 related to the Environmental Management and Coordination Controlled Substance Regulations 2025 and the explanatory memorandum from the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. B, the agreement between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the United Arab Emirates on the Comprehensive Economic Partnership from the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. C, annual report for the financial year 2022-2023 of the Power of Mercy Advisory Committee, POMAC, from the Office of the Attorney General. D, reports of the Auditor General and financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2024 and certificates therein in respect of AIC Kangitit Girls School, Bishop Birech High School Tilol, Butere Girls High School, Cardinal Otunga Girls High School, Friends School Kamusinga, Gatugi Girls Secondary School, Joy Valley Secondary School for the physically handicapped, Kagumo High School, Kakamega School, Kamusinde Boys High School, Kiluani Boys Secondary School, Kimabole Secondary School, Matiliku Boys High School, Mukaa Boys High School, Najile Boys High School, Nanyuki High School, Napaelilim Secondary School, Ndururumo High School, Njonjo Girls High School, Our Lady Girls Secondary School, Kakuma, Sericho Secondary School, St. Joseph's Girls Secondary School, St. Teresa Tartar Secondary School, West Pokot, St. Patrick's Kimukungi Girls High School, Bungoma, Turukana Girls National School. E, reports of the Auditor General.
You have skipped 25.
25.
For the record.
Tumutumu Girls High School, sorry, Honorable Speaker. E, reports of the Auditor General and financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2024 and certificates therein in respect of 1, Competition Authority of Kenya, Council of Governors Mortgage and Car Loan Fund, 3, Equalization Fund, 4, Financial Reporting Center, 5, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority KCAA Staff Mortgage Scheme, 6, Kenya Accountants and Secretaries National Examinations Board, 7, Kenya Accreditation Service, 8, Kenya Energy Sector Environment and Social Responsibility Programs Fund, 9, Kenya Meat Commission, 10, Kenya Ordnance Factories Corporation, KOFOC, 11, Kenya Post Authority National Treasury, 12, Kenya Revenue Authority, 13, Kenya Urban Roads Authority, 14, Kenya Vision 2030 Delivery Secretariat, 15, National Cohesion and Integration Commission, 16, National Drought Management Authority, 17, National Housing Corporation, 18, National Security Telecommunication Service, 19, National Social Security Fund, 20, Policyholders Compensation Fund, Car and Mortgage Scheme, 21, Private Security Regulatory Authority, 22, Public Procurement Regulatory Authority Staff Loan Scheme Fund, 23, Receiver of Revenue Statements, 24, Roads Maintenance Levy Fund, Kenya National Highways Authority, 25, Roads Maintenance Levy Fund, Kenya Urban Roads Authority, 26, State Department for Devolution, 27, State Department for Foreign Affairs, 28, State Department for Internal Security and National Administration, 29, Tana and Athi Rivers Development Authority, and 30, Honorable Speaker, the Kitale National Polytechnic. I lay, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Chairperson Liaison Committee, David Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 11th March 2025. Report of the Liaison Committee on the Budget Policy Statement for the financial year 2025-2026 and the medium term, together with a compendium of departmental committee reports on the 2025 Budget Policy Statement. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to give a notice of motion for consideration of the budget policy statement for the financial year 2025-2026 and the medium term. That this House adopts the report of the Liaison Committee on the budget policy statement for the financial year 2025-2026 and a compendium of departmental committee reports on the 2025 budget policy statement laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 11th March 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 25(7) of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412A, and Standing Order 232, 9, and 10, approves the budget policy statement for the financial year 2025-2026, and secondly, makes the following financial resolutions with respect to the budget policy statement. 1, the national government budget ceiling be approved at Kenya shillings 2,323,474,081.
From trillion, you go to billion.
No, from trillion to billion and then to million. Okay, let me start again. I'm not used to those figures, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to take it again. 1, the national government budget ceiling be approved at Kenya shillings 2,504,704,480, of which the executive, and I think you'll allow me to say the numbers, executive will have Kenya shillings 2.447 trillion, 236 billion, and 081,480 million, and of which the Office of the Auditor General will have Kenya shillings 8 billion 652 million 200,000.
Yes.
And Parliament will have Kenya shillings 49 billion 488,200 million. Then the judiciary shall have Kenya shillings 26 billion 749,800,000 only. And 2, the county government equitable share be approved at Kenya shillings 405 billion and 69 million 197,000 only. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
And that's 3, I've gone to 2. 3, consistent with the latest audited and approved revenue for the financial year 2020-2021, amounting to Kenya shillings 1,570 billion 562,945,014 only. The allocation to the equalization fund to be set at Kenya shillings 7,852,725,000 only. And 4, the arrears to the equalization fund to be set at Kenya shillings 2,747,186,275. And 5, the county government additional allocations be approved at Kenya shillings 69,802,409,000 1,623 as per the third schedule, which shall be from the basis of the County Government Additional Allocation Bill 2025. And 6, the allocation for the public participation initiatives be approved at 3 billion. And 7, the first and second schedule forms the basis for the ceilings for the financial year 2025-2026 budget estimates. And 7, once approved, the recommendations shall form the basis for the financial year 2025-2026 budget estimates. And C, makes the policy resolutions contained in the report. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, David Speaker. Next.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Before questions and statements, honorable members, allow me to acknowledge in the Speaker's gallery students, I believe with teachers from Moi Forces Academy, Kamkunji in Nairobi. In the public gallery, Muthambi Girls School from Mara in Tharaka-Nithi, Makongeni Secondary School from Makadara, Nairobi, Kongotik Girls High School from Bomet, East Bomet, Technical University of Kenya Students and Union from Starehe, Nairobi, Kimuru Secondary School from Kipipiri in Nyandarua. The member for Kipipiri asked me to give her 1 minute to welcome a school from her constituency. You can do so for the rest of the institutions on our behalf.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I take this opportunity to welcome all the schools visiting National Assembly today. And to all students, I tell them to work hard, to read hard, because education is one avenue to make their lives better. In a special way, I recognize Kimuru Secondary School from Kipipiri, Wajohi Sub-County. And Honorable Speaker, I wish to let you know on the floor that Kimuru Secondary School is one of the most disciplined schools in Kipipiri, most clean, and they did very well in 2024 examination. I wish them well and hope they'll even do better in this year's examination. Thank you.
Thank you on my behalf and on behalf of the House. We welcome all of you to the House of Parliament. Enjoy yourselves. Question number 1, Eric Karemba, Runyenjes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and it is not a question, it is a statement.
Oh, it's a request for a statement, sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, before I do that, I am very excited, Honorable Speaker, today that unlike those other days, I can see quite a number of Akorinos in the speakers, in the public gallery, and I am so happy, Honorable Speaker.
How do you know there are Akorinos?
Waswahili hujuana kwa vilemba, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Request for a statement regarding the high cost of farm feeds. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock regarding the high cost of animal feeds. Honorable Speaker, dairy farming is such a crucial in ensuring food security and economic stability in the country. Sadly, the industry faces several challenges that have crippled the farmers, including high cost of animal feeds, high veterinary charges, and change in milk prices. The challenges have in turn decreased milk yields, thereby undermining overall performance and sustainability of dairy farming in the country, and specifically in the Runyenjes constituency in Embu County. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock regarding the following. 1. Statistics of milk production in Runyenjes constituency in Embu County. 2. The measures being put in place to decrease the cost of animal feeds required for dairy farming. And 3. Initiatives being put in place to enhance milk production in the country. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Karemba. Chair, Agriculture and Livestock. DK, are you a member? Bring a response.
We can bring it when we come from recess on 17th.
First day of resumption after recess, that is in 3 weeks.
Okay.
Honorable Dr. Ojambo Oundo Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson, the Departmental Committee on Education regarding the welfare of members of staff of the Technical University of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, the Technical University of Kenya, TUK, was awarded a charter on 15th January 2013. The institution took over from the now defunct Kenya Polytechnic, which was a leading institution for education and training at the tertiary level in Kenya. However, over the past few years, the audit reports by the Auditor General have cited TUK as being among the 23 out of 40 universities facing severe financial instability due to significant debts. More distressingly, on 3rd January 2025, the university was indefinitely closed following protests by lecturers demanding improved working conditions and the disbursement of the salaries overdue since December 2024. Honorable Speaker, the Labor Relations Act and the Employment Act guarantees the fundamental rights of employees, including rights against servitude, conducive working conditions, and timely payment of remuneration. Despite the legal requirements, the management of TUK has repeatedly failed to honor obligations to pay salaries. Additionally, the institution has failed to remit payee, resulting to a debt of 5 billion, Kenya shilling 5 billion, as of June 2024. The university had pending bills of approximately 11 billion. As a result, more than 1,500 employees are facing a bleak future in retirement after it emerged that the institution had lost nearly all their pension savings. On 15 July 2024, the High Court held that the staff retirement benefit scheme was to be wound up. Therefore, the situation is becoming dire in the institution, which was once a beacon of academic excellence. Honorable Speaker, it's against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson, the Departmental Committee on Education, on the following. Number 1, the plans put in place by the Ministry of Education to address the financial constraints faced by Technical University of Kenya, including timely payment of salaries to the staff and remittance of deductions. 2, the measures taken by the University Council and Vice Chancellor to address the issues of retirement benefits or to staff and the staff retirement benefit scheme and remittance of statutory and third-party obligations. 3, action being undertaken to compensate staff members affected in winding up the retirement scheme and measures in place to prevent a recurrence of such financial mismanagement in the future. And finally, steps being taken to reopen the institution, specifying the timelines in order to safeguard students from further interruption of the academic program. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Oundo. Chair, Education. Chair, Education. That is a request for statement on the welfare of members of staff of the Technical University of Kenya. Bring the response in 3 weeks.
Thank you, sir.
On a resumption from recess.
Thank you.
Honorable Joseph Gitari, Kirinyaga Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44.2c, I wish to request for a statement from the Chairperson Committee on Energy regarding the status of electricity projects in Kirinyaga County. Honorable Speaker, over the past 2 decades, the county has made the country has made significant strides in expanding electricity access, with millions of households and business connected to power. However, despite the progress, various areas in Kirinyaga County continue to face persistent challenges in accessing reliable electricity. The lack of electricity has led to increased insecurity, hindered economic activities, and limited opportunities for business and households that depend on electricity daily. This has affected the businesses, schools, health centers, facilities which are unable to operate efficiently due to unreliable power supply. Several follow-up attempts with Kenya Power and REREC on stalled electricity projects in Kirinyaga Central constituency have borne no fruit. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of Departmental Committee on Energy on the status of the following projects. 1. Kariko and Old Kagaita area projects in Noi Ward. 2. Kiabongo area project in Mutira Ward. 3. Kwa Makandamia, Kerutera and Gakarara, Kemeri area projects in Kirwea Ward. 4. Kiangongo, Kiremunge, Koroma Gatarwa, Gatuto, and Mukaduine areas in Kanyekina Ward. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the Kiratina new transformer. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chair Energy. Chair Energy, Kawaya. Are you still in Energy? Yes, Kawaya.
Thank you, Chair. I will...
Speaker, not Chair.
Thank you, Speaker.
Yes.
Sorry about that. I will have this communicated to the Energy Committee. 2 weeks.
I directed that you remain in office until the end of the day today.
All right, thank you,
so
Chair.
You are still
2
the
weeks.
Chair.
2 weeks.
3 weeks.
2 weeks.
3 weeks.
All right.
2 weeks we shall be in recess.
Oh, yeah. It's...
So bring the response the first day upon resumption.
Thank you, Chair.
That's
Thank
3
you,
weeks
Speaker.
from today.
All right.
Thank you, Kawaya. Next order.
Order number 8, motion. Report of the Committee of the Whole House on the County Government's Revenue Raising Process Bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2023, question to be put on third reading.
Order, honorable members. Member for Tiati, take the nearest seat. Kiborek, take your seat. Omulher, take your seat. Member for Mwea. Take your seats. Honorable members, I now propose the question at order number 8, which is that the county government's revenue raising process bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2023 be now read a third time. I now put the question at order number 9, which is that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the county government's revenue-raising process bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2023. As many as of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Mover.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the County Government's Revenue Raising Process Bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2023, be now read a third time, and I also request the Honorable David Ochieng to second.
Honorable Speaker, I hereby second. Thank you.
Thank you. I now propose the question, which is that the County Government's Revenue Raising Process Bill, National Assembly. Order. Honorable Mchomba, take your seats. Take the nearest seat. Order, member in the walkway, take the nearest seat. Honorable members, I want to repeat to you, it's just etiquette. When the speaker is on his or her feet, everybody must be seated. If you are standing, you freeze. You don't lean to talk to somebody when the speaker is on his or her feet. I think this is what we were taught when we met in Safari Park. Day one. Yes. Honorable members, let me repeat. I propose the question, which is that the County Government's Revenue Raising Process Bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2023 be now read a third time. I now put the question, and I confirm we have enough quorum, which is that the County Government's Revenue Raising Process Bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2023 be now read a third time. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the process to be followed by county governments in the exercise of their power and Articles 209 and 210 of the Constitution to impose, vary, or waive taxes, fees, levies, and other charges to establish the Interagency Transitional Committee and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 9, motion, report of the Committee of the Whole House on the Public Audit Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2024, question to be put and third reading.
Order, members on their feet, take your seats. Order. Those two members at the back, Kawanjiku, take your seats. Thank you. Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 9, which is that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the Public Audit Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2024. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Mover.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Public Audit Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2024 be now read a third time. I also request the Honorable Irene Mayaka to second.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I second.
Order. Order, members. Oundo, you better go back to where you normally sit. Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that the Public Audit Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2024, be now read a third time. I now put the question at order number 9, and I confirm we have quorum in the House, which is that the Public Audit Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2024, be now read a third time. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Public Audit Act 2015 and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 10, motion, resolution to sit on other days.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is a short motion that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Orders 28.4 on calendar of the House and 33C, hours of meeting, this House resolves to 1, hold morning sittings on Thursday, 13th March 2025 and Friday, 14th March 2025, commencing at 10 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business relating to the supplementary estimates 2 for the financial year 2024-2025, related legislation and the budget cycle. 2, commence the short recess on Monday, 17th March 2025. And 3, to resume regular sittings on Tuesday, 1st April 2025, to continue with the first part of the 4th session. Honorable Speaker, as was agreed by the House Business Committee with the proposal to have a morning sitting on Thursday morning and Friday morning, and I know, Honorable Speaker, many of our Muslim colleagues are in the fasting season, and also many of our Catholic brothers and sisters, including the Honorable Speaker, in the Lent season. And I know what happens on Fridays with them. So we have sought to have that sitting only on the morning part from 10 to 1 p.m. to consider the budget, supplementary budget. As members are aware, there are many, many issues, especially relating to exchequer issues that are pending, awaiting the completion or conclusion of the supplementary estimates too. Honorable Speaker, that's why you see very many chairs of committees are not in the House this afternoon, because they are trying to burn the midnight oil even tonight to make sure that they finish with the supplementary appropriations report in readiness for debate of this business as we agreed in the House business this morning on Thursday and Friday. There is some more important business relating to counties, especially on the division of revenue bill, which has to be published and come for first reading, hopefully by Thursday evening or Friday morning. Honorable Speaker, we would have extended the sitting, as I said, on Thursday probably up to the close of business, up to midnight, but we have the iftar dinner, Honorable Speaker, which you are hosting, and have invited all of us to join our Muslim brothers and sisters for the iftar dinner on Thursday. So Thursday evening, we have a very short afternoon, probably just about 2 hours before we adjourn for the iftar dinner hosted by the Speaker, and therefore it will be important to have that extra sitting on Thursday morning and Friday morning. And because the Honorable Wamashukuru and Honorable Wamushomba and Jane Kagiri are making a lot of noise behind me, I do hope that they've heard there will be a sitting on Thursday morning and Friday morning. And therefore, I beg to move and request the Honorable Jack Wamboka to second this motion in agreement on behalf of the Leader of Minority.
The acting Leader of Minority, and in that capacity, Honorable Speaker, I second the motion by my counterpart on the other side.
Order, members. Order. Members on their feet, take your seats. Order member for, is that Barongo? Honorable Barongo, can you walk to the bar? Now take the nearest seat. Junaid, take the nearest seat. Authority should follow you to any seat. Honorable members, I now propose the question at order number 10, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Orders 28.4, calendar of the House, and 33C, hours of meeting, this House resolves to 1, hold morning sittings on Thursday, 13th March 2025, and Friday, 14th March 2025, commencing 10 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business relating to supplementary estimates 2 for the financial year 2024-2025 related legislation and the budget cycle. 2, commence the short recess on Monday, 17th March 2025, and 3, resume regular sittings on Tuesday, 1st April 2025, to continue with the first part of the fourth session. I put the question. Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 10, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Orders 28.4 calendar of the House and 33C hours of sitting, this House resolves to 1, hold morning sittings on Thursday, 13th March 2025 and Friday, 14th March 2025, commencing at 10 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business relating to supplementary estimates 2 for the financial year 2024-25, related legislation and the budget cycle. 2, commence a short recess on Monday, 17th March 2025, and 3, resume regular sittings on Tuesday, 1st April 2025 to continue with the first part of the fourth session. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Yes, Honorable Omboko Milemba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise on a point of order that touches on also a matter that relates to the Constitution on the budget-making process. Honorable Speaker, the practice of this House has been that usually every budget processing time, there was monies that was allocated through public participation to different counties. Honorable Speaker, this chance around was a chance for Vihiga County and other 5
Honorable
counties.
Milemba, I've been requested by the majority leader that I stand you down. We clear the short motion at order 11, then I give you the opportunity, if you don't mind. Call order number 11. Just hold your horses.
Order number 11, motion, elections in reconstituted committees.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that further to the resolutions of the House of 5th and 6th March 2025 regarding the reconstitution of committees, this House resolves as follows. 1, that with respect to departmental committees, where a chairperson or vice chairperson is ordinarily elected for the term of Parliament, the elections will only be undertaken for the positions of chairperson or vice chairperson, which fell vacant as a result of the recent reconstitution of committees, being the following. A, chairpersons for the departmental committees on energy, environment and forestry and mining, health, labor, and trade, industry and cooperatives, and B, the vice chairpersons for the departmental committees on education, lands, regional development, and tourism and wildlife. And 2, that with respect to all other select committees which were reconstituted pursuant to the standing orders and whose leadership also lapsed at the commencement of this session, elections for all chairpersons and vice chairpersons will be undertaken for the respective vacant positions as per the schedule circulated by the clerk on the 6th of March 2025. Honorable Speaker, the import of this motion is to allow the House to elect chairs and vice chairs for the 18 committees, select committees whose term had lapsed. And therefore, since the term had lapsed, they had no chairs and vice chairs, and they are naturally going to hold elections to elect their chairs and vice chairs. 2 is to limit our elections of departmental committees to only the chairs and vice chairs who were affected by the reconstitution of committees, because they are chairs, for instance, of the Committee of Forestry, Energy, Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, whose chairs were able to be moved from one committee to the other, and therefore those committees do not have substantive chairs. The same with the departmental committees on tourism and wildlife, regional development, education and lands. The vice chairs again were moved, and therefore they will be expected to hold elections for those vice chairs. And the import of that for all the other chairs is that, and vice chairs, is that we shall not have elections for all the other chairs and vice chairs. Honorable Speaker, I heard you asking the Honorable Udo to go back to his usual seat. And it is only Honorable Udo and members of the Public Accounts Committee who would understand why the Honorable Udo had to move from one point to the other, because I have seen his form somewhere. And there's a lot of lobbying, jostling for these positions. Therefore, we want to make sure that for orderly conduct of business, because we're also in a very important season, the budget-making process, for instance, as I mentioned today, the liaison committee that has all chairs is sitting now, even as we sit here. And therefore, we do not want to disrupt them with elections, and they have a lot of work ongoing, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, beg to move, as we agreed in the House Business Committee, to this motion that we move. I beg to move and request the Leader of Minority, the Honorable Junet Mohammed, to second in agreement.
Honorable Junet, disband that Kamkunji, and
I know the Honorable Katan. I was asking the Leader of Minority to second, and the Honorable Katana is distracting him. And you know, before the Honorable Junet walked in, and I know he was in a meeting in his office with members of his coalition, the Honorable Amboka was seated where he seated. And when I requested him to second on behalf of the Leader of Minority, he purported to be the acting Leader of Minority. And that is why you saw the Honorable Junet walk in very fast, because there cannot be an acting Leader of Minority. The Leader of Minority is present, and I invite him to second this motion in agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to second the motion as moved by the Majority Leader. Having said, Mr. Speaker, I'm shocked that Honorable Wamboka was masquerading as a Minority Leader, Mr. Speaker, in the House, Mr. Speaker, in my absence. Mr. Speaker, that is very dangerous and bad manners, Mr. Speaker. It's treasonous, Mr. Speaker, because this is the man who has just come to Parliament the other day. I was showing him where washrooms are, where, food is taken. Mr. Speaker, I've taken him round everywhere, but now he's masquerading. Mr. Speaker, I'm really shocked, but I will deal with him in accordance with the standing orders. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I start to second, and what the Majority Leader has moved is that, there are committees that their term has lapsed. The select committees, budget committee, PIC, PAC, and other things. But there are committees also, Mr. Speaker, whose terms have not lapsed. So there was a kind of agitation in the House that people want to contest for all committees when they are chairs who are chairmen or chairpersons who are in office legally. Mr. Speaker, what we are having now is just a mini election. The general election is coming ahead of us. So hold your horse. This is just a small election or a mini election and mid-term elections. But the real election is ahead of us. So those committees, the standing order is very clear. There are committees that were supposed to serve for 2 years. Their term has lapsed. But the committees that were supposed to serve for full term, those ones cannot be subjected to an election. Their term will lapse at that time when the 5-year period ends, Mr. Speaker. So that is the clarification this motion of the Majority Leader is making, Mr. Speaker. Because I have seen chairs who are under threat. Now the chair of Transport Committee, people are campaigning for it. I was wondering when has his term ended. The man even looked malnourished today if you look at him, Mr. Speaker. He's really worried, Mr. Speaker. So this motion is going to protect him. This motion is going to defend him. So with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question at order number 11, which is that further, the resolutions of the House of 5th and 6th March 2025 regarding the reconstitution of committees, this House resolves as follows. 1, that with respect to departmental committees where a chairperson or vice chairperson is ordinarily elected for the term of Parliament, the elections will only be be undertaken for the positions of chairperson or vice chairperson which fell vacant as a result of the recent reconstitution of committees, being the following: A, chairpersons for the departmental committees on energy, environment, forestry and mining, health, labor, trade, industry and cooperatives, and B, vice chairpersons for the departmental committees on education, lands, regional development, and tourism and wildlife. 2, that with respect to all other select committees which were reconstituted pursuant to the standing orders and whose leadership also lapsed at the commencement of this session, elections for all chairpersons and vice chairpersons will be undertaken for the respective vacant positions as per the schedule circulated by the clerk on 6th March 2025. I put the question. Honorable members, I now put the question and order number 11, which is that further to the resolutions of the House of 5th and 6th March 2025 regarding the reconstitution of committees, this House resolves as follows. 1, that with respect to departmental committees where a chairperson or vice chairperson is ordinarily elected for the term of Parliament, the elections will only be undertaken for the positions of chairperson or vice chairperson which fell vacant as a result of the recent reconstitution of committees, being the following: A, chairpersons for the departmental committees on energy, environment, forestry and mining, health, labor, trade, industry and cooperatives, and B, vice chairpersons for the departmental committees on education, lands, regional development, tourism and wildlife, and 2, that with respect to all other select committees which were reconstituted pursuant to the standing orders and whose leadership also lapsed at the commencement of this session, elections for all chairpersons and vice chairpersons will be undertaken for the respective vacant positions as per the schedule circulated by the clerk on 6th March 2025. As many as of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next. Now, Milemba.
Honorable Speaker.
You can start afresh.
I will come in a different style now, Honorable Speaker. Matters related to budget making are expressly documented in the Constitution. And in particular, matters relating to public participation are equally touched in the Constitution in Section 221, Section 5 of 221, which indicates that in discussing and reviewing the estimates, the committee shall seek representations from the public, and the recommendations shall be taken into account when the committee makes its recommendations to the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, that has been the practice of this House, that in every budget-making process, usually the budget committee will move around in 5 or so counties and pick public participation. And usually they are allocated about 2 billion to every county or 5 counties where the public participation has been done. Honorable Speaker, during this session of Parliament, that has happened and about 21 counties have benefited. But in the last year's public participation, Vihiga, among other counties, had their chance for public participation. It was insinuated that this public participation would continue and all the counties would benefit. But following what happened in the budget committee, and possibly that's why we have changed, or you are changing the leadership of the budget committee, which misused the clause of public participation and actually abused it by increasing that figure from 2 billion to over hundreds of billions. A guillotine, Honorable Speaker, was placed on public participation, and which has disadvantaged Vihiga as a county plus other counties, which if they are here, they should speak on this. And the monies that otherwise were put in public participation genuinely, not these other monies that is an addition that is not known where it's going to, where you will find that one constituency is having monies up to 1 billion for public participation. No, Honorable Speaker, that was not part of the real public participation that was instrumented in the Constitution. And therefore, our county, Vihiga, has lost all the roads, all the schools, all the monies that were otherwise allocated to that particular county because of public participation. I want you, Honorable Speaker, please, to beseech the committee that is now looking at the budget afresh in the supplementary one, so that they may bring back the monies that are genuinely placed for public participation and which is not the extras that was put there by those who were in power that particular time and ended up misusing that clause so as for the constituencies and the counties that were supposed to get these monies genuinely to lose the money. And finally, this should be a caution to those who are coming into these committees that a very good thing and practice by this House can be rendered useless if it is abused by those who are put in positions as chairmen of committees. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Maungu. Maungu. 2 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. Allow me to ride on what my neighbor and brother Omboko Milemba has just raised with regard to funds initially allocated to public participation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for a long time, counties have benefited significantly as a result of funds set aside through public participation kitty. And for the first time, Vihiga was catered for in this financial year, Mr. Speaker. And Speaker, during the public hearings, I did participate in one of those meetings, and it was important that we bring projects that we felt as a people were important to our respective constituencies of the county. And it's unfortunate that whatever happened in June, whereby the uprising of the Gen Zs saw this kitty slashed off, Mr. Speaker. But the challenge came where the funds, where the money that had been allocated was increased to a level whereby it was actually felt that some counties are going to benefit more than other counties, Mr. Speaker. I want to join my brother and actually request that the liaison committee that is looking at the public participation should not just brush off that figure, Mr. Speaker, because for the first time, Vihiga was going to benefit. And having it deleted, Mr. Speaker, will actually see our people and the great people of Vihiga omitted from this important kitty, which is supposed to bring equity. I therefore want to join my brother in saying that, Mr. Speaker, we need your indulgence on this matter. Thank you.
Wangwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, within the reading of the Constitution, Article 221, as read to us by the Honorable Omboko Milemba, this will also disadvantage Kakamega as a county, Honorable Speaker. And in your ruling, Honorable Speaker, please consider that also the same amount which was supposed to benefit the county of Kakamega in its entirety was also not dispersed as per the voting of the House. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, despite the fact that we voted for it, it was never dispersed to the county as it was supposed to be. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Majority Leader.
It was never dispersed to the county as it was supposed to be. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Majority Leader. Try and maintain order in the House. This is your own house. You don't have to be called upon by the Speaker to maintain order. And I want to repeat, those who want to have conversations, we have a beautiful lounge out there near the reception. I have also allowed you to use the Speaker's recess room behind the chair for you to have conversations as you wish. Let's have some decorum in the House at least, so that those who are on their feet can be heard and those who are seated can listen. I know many members here who are interested in listening to what is going on. I also know a few who are not interested in whatever is going on in the House. Let's focus on the business of the House. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I hope I will be speaking to those who are interested in the business of the House. And you know, Honorable Speaker, it's true what you said, because the business of this House is the business of the people who have given us the greatest honor above very many other people to come and represent them in the National Assembly. And the issues you hear the Honorable Omboko raise are indeed pertinent issues in line with Article 201 of our Constitution on the cardinal place public participation should play in all our legislative processes and even decisions in the executive. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with the Honorable Omboko. It is true the public participation process in the budget-making process has been abused, grossly abused. And as Honorable Omboko says, that is why you find in a situation where 2 billion shillings was set aside for public participation, those who sat in the budget committee found it prudent or imprudent, whatever the case may be, to put an additional 10 billion shillings. But what is more worrying, Honorable Speaker, is that if the entire 12 billion shillings went to the counties that were slated in for the public participation exercise, then there will be no problem. The problem has come because it is people who have vested interest in those committees where they sit in that then use that opportunity to put projects in their own constituencies and counties far from what was intended by the public participation, Honorable Speaker. And I say this with immense respect to those who sit in the Budget and Appropriations Committee, because it is a committee that I have chaired before in this House. And the tradition that we had set right from the 11th Parliament, when the new Constitution came into being, is that money would be set aside for public participation, and over a period of 4 years, we would cover all counties in the country. And it is sad that some counties like Vihiga and the other 10 counties that were slated for benefit of these monies now lose out because of what is otherwise bad manners by ourselves, those who sat in the Budget and Appropriations Committee. And I say this, Speaker, because we have now reconstituted a new Budget and Appropriations Committee. Let me be on record, it will not be business as usual. This House will not sit back and allow members who sit in the Budget and Appropriations Committee to use the position they hold in that committee to appropriate money to only their constituencies at the expense of other Kenyans and appropriate budget. So that I have chaired was the issues you hear the Honorable people who have given us the greatest honor above very many other people to come and represent them in the National Assembly. And the issues you hear the Honorable Omboko raise are indeed pertinent issues in line with Article 201 of our Constitution on the cardinal place public participation should play in all our legislative processes and even decisions in the executive. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with the Honorable Omboko. It is true the public participation process in the budget-making process has been abused, grossly abused. And as Honorable Omboko says, that is why you find in a situation where 2 billion shillings was set aside for public participation, those who sat in the Budget Committee found it prudent or imprudent, whatever the case may be, to put an additional 10 billion shillings. But what is more worrying, Honorable Speaker, is that if the entire 12 billion shillings went to the counties that were slated in for the public participation exercise, then there will be no problem. The problem has come because it is people who have vested interest in those committees where they sit in that then use that opportunity to put projects in their own constituencies and counties far from what was intended by the public participation, Honorable Speaker. And I say this with immense respect to those who sit in the Budget and Appropriations Committee, because it is a committee that I have chaired before in this House. And the tradition that we had set right from the 11th Parliament, when the new constitution came into being, is that money would be set aside for public participation, and over a period of 4 years, we would cover all counties in the country. And it is sad that some counties like Vihiga and the other 10 counties that were slated for benefit of these monies now lose out because of what is otherwise bad manners by ourselves, those who sat in the Budget and Appropriations Committee. And I say this, Speaker, because we have now reconstituted a new Budget and Appropriations Committee. Let me be on record, it will not be business as usual. This House will not sit back and allow members who sit in the Budget and Appropriations Committee to use the position they hold in that committee to appropriate money to only their constituencies at the expense of other Kenyans. Because all these 349 members come here to represent people. They come here to seek and lobby for resources to go back to their people. That is why the people of Vihiga are crying today. It is sad that you would find in a county that was to benefit from public participation, a national polytechnic in a county that was slated to benefit for public participation, getting a meager 10 million shillings, whereas in another county where a member in the Budget and Appropriations Committee sits in, a national polytechnic gets 250 million shillings. It is immoral. It is unethical and very unprofessional of us who sit in those committees. And I say it will not be business as usual because we have agreed as the House leadership, both in the majority and the minority party, that those who get the opportunity to sit in whichever committee you sit in that committee to ensure that there is equitable allocation and share of resources across the country. And we will make sure that that happens. I therefore wanted to urge the Honorable Omboko and the other members who are affected. I will engage with the National Treasury to ensure that those counties do not lose on account of the actions of the former Committee of Budget and Appropriations, so that within the next financial year, because they are now preparing the estimates for the next financial year, we factor in those counties that should have benefited this year and those that ought to benefit next year. But let this serve as a warning bell to the new committee. I know the committees are slated to hold their elections tomorrow. Whoever you elect in those committees, especially the Budget and Appropriations Committee, because it is one of the 18 committees whose mandate lapsed, and there are new members in that committee, an opportunity to serve in the Budget and Appropriations Committee of this House is not an opportunity to enrich yourself. It is not an opportunity to allocate resources to your constituency or your county or to those who you think are your friends above others. You must ensure, as members of that committee, there is equitable and fair distribution of resources, not just those in public participation. The reason why the Budget and Appropriations Committee has been elevated in our standing orders to be a committee that's all of you to be on the lookout. And we call out each out. And we call out each other, because that is the only way we can be able to hold each other to account, for us to be able to hold those in the executive to account. Because even those in the executive, it doesn't mean because you are a cabinet secretary, for instance, for roads or water or energy, that all projects should go to your home county. There must be equitable and fair allocation and share of resources in this country, and that is the spirit that we want to go ahead. Therefore, let me assure Honorable Omboko Milemba, I will pick up that matter with the National Treasury to ensure that none of the counties lose out, but also to tell members of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, whichever leaders you elect when you go to elections tomorrow, I pray that you will do what is just, what is right and what is accountable by your own standards and by our own standards as a house. That public participation allocation was meant as seed capital. When you go out and listen to Kenyans, they tell you this national polytechnic in this county has 20 or 10,000 students. They have hostels that accommodate only 1,000 students. You know, 2 billion shillings might not even be enough maybe to build hostels in that one particular institution. But you put in seed capital, which informs the next budget-making process. Therefore, if, for instance, the Honorable Omboko's constituency in Vihiga, they had a road that was identified as a critical link between his constituency and the county of Kisumu or another neighboring county, and the members of the Budget and Appropriations feel that that road is such a critical link, then they put maybe 50 million shillings or 20 million shillings as seed capital so that they get a budget line that will be added onto in the subsequent financial year's budget. Now, this year they should have benefited to add, but public participation should not be an end by itself, or you allocate, probably you find a school where they have no classrooms, children, you go to Turkana or maybe to somewhere and find children, especially or Baringo, where people had been displaced by bandits, classrooms were demolished or burnt down, and you find you can allocate 10 million shillings and give a school money to allow children to go to schools. That was the essence of public participation, but not the kind of abuse that we have seen in the last 2 years. And Honorable Speaker, I want to commit on behalf of the House leadership, in the majority, on the minority side, that we shall make sure it no longer happens in this House. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Junet.
Speaker, I don't have much to add to what the majority leader said, but suffice to say, Mr. Speaker, that the matter that has been raised by Honorable Milema Mr. Speaker, you remember this House never used to have the powers to look into the budget of the country. The new constitution gave us those powers, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, what has been happening the last 2 years in the Budget and Appropriation Committee of this House, Mr. Speaker, borders criminality. If we lay bare, Mr. Speaker, those things, as has been discussed in the retreat we had of the leadership in Naivasha and also in the House Business Committee, Mr. Speaker, those issues, those atrocities, Mr. Speaker, cannot be shied away from talking about, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, how on earth can one county have an allocation, budget allocation of 12 billion shillings and a whole region has 60 million shillings, Mr. Speaker? What kind of country are we living in? Mr. Speaker, the Budget and Appropriation Committee went around the country to do public participation. And they ended up agreeing that they are going to use 2 billion shillings to allocate to those counties that they have visited, Mr. Speaker. That amount ended up ballooning to 12 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. And the beneficiary of that 12 billion shillings is not those counties that public participation was done on, Mr. Speaker. It is other counties and other constituencies, Mr. Speaker. The Budget and Appropriation Committee of this House has reached to the level where the chair of that committee, Mr. Speaker, now, members of parliament are going to his constituency for benchmarking, Mr. Speaker. Benchmarking. And all of us are supposed to receive the same amount of NGD CDF, Mr. Speaker. What is making our members to go and benchmark in a colleague's constituency, Mr. Speaker? Because the colleague is receiving more funding because of him being the chairman of the budget committee. Let's be honest to Kenyans. Let's tell Kenyans the truth, that he was sitting in an advantageous position of chairing that powerful committee of the House, which you could do skewed allocation of resources to his constituents, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, which member of parliament here can afford, through his NGCDF, to build classrooms, plaster them, put windows, put roof, put tiles in the classroom, cabros in the... Mr. Speaker, which member of parliament can afford to do that here? With a mere resources of 100 million shillings, Mr. Speaker, and advertise on Citizen Primetime News. Which member can do it? Can you raise up your hand if you can do that? None of the 349 members of this House, Mr. Speaker, can afford to do that. That can only be done by somebody who has access to bigger resources than any other member, Mr. Speaker. The Budget and Appropriation Committee did not start the other day. The distinguished leader of the majority party, Mr. Speaker, has been the chair of that committee for many years. And he has never done those things. I have been with him in this house. He has been very careful, and he has shared the resources of the country equitably, Mr. Speaker. I can say that without any fear of contradiction. Mr. Speaker, I want to remind members of this House, for those of us who have been here that time, who have been here for long, when the Budget Committee was chaired by Honorable, what was his name? The Member of Parliament from Embu, Mbere, the Reverend Mutava Musimi, Mr. Speaker. Members of that committee did the same thing they have done the last 2 years. And one afternoon, the late Honorable Jacoyo Bidiwo came to the House, and he was seated exactly where I'm sitting today, and told the House the amount of money the Budget Committee put for themselves in the budget, Mr. Speaker. And the whole committee, that time, the membership of the Budget Committee was 52 or 51? 51. The whole committee was dissolved. And a new committee was formed, Mr. Speaker, based on what Honorable Jacoyo presented to the House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if the Budget Committee does its business the way that the defunct committee has done, Mr. Speaker, the only option, the only solution, Mr. Speaker, that's available for this House is to convert the 349 members of this House into a Budget Committee. The whole House becomes a committee of the budget, Mr. Speaker. But as leadership, and as parties, we have given responsibility and priorities to certain members. And especially on our side, and I'm sure even on Kenya Kwanza's side, we have picked one member per county from different regions and different counties, so that they can represent the interest of those regions and those counties and those constituencies. But Mr. Speaker, it looks like the committee now sits down and agrees on how to share the resources among themselves, forgetting that they are representing Kenyans and they are representing the whole House, Mr. Speaker, in that committee. As the majority leader has said, we will not desist, we will not hesitate to remove any member who behaves like the defunct committee, Mr. Speaker. I know there are remnants who have remained in that committee from the previous committee. I don't want to mention their names. We are giving them a warning that if you are not going to share the resources of the country equitably, Mr. Speaker, we will de-whip them. And we will discharge them from the committee, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I saw, I don't want to mention names, an old man who has started a polytechnic which has 10,000 people. And he talked about his polytechnic very passionately. And he said he's requesting the executive to give resources to that polytechnic. And the polytechnic has 10,000 students. Mr. Speaker, in their wisdom of lack of it, through the chair of the committee and the committee, gave that polytechnic in Bungoma 25 million shillings and gave another one in another place 250 million, which has only 2,000 students. Or was it 10 million? Yeah. They gave only 10 million there, and the other one they gave 250 million shillings, Mr. Speaker. We are going to name them. Mr. Speaker, we will not allow, because this is the House that takes care of the interest of the people, of what is concerned to the people, is discussed here, Mr. Speaker. And this matter of skewed distribution of resources, Mr. Speaker, look at what's happening in the road sector, Mr. Speaker. It's shameful. In the road sector, Mr. Speaker, there are counties that have not seen any cent to tarmac any road, Mr. Speaker. And there are counties that have been having money every year, every month to tarmac certain roads. In fact, very soon, if we continue like this in the next 5 years, there are counties that will donate tarmac roads to others. They will say, take this tarmac and put it somewhere in your county. You can return it back after 2 years. Just use it for 2 years. Because they don't know where to put it actually. Mr. Speaker, I support the majority leader. This country can only prosper. This country can only go far if, as the representatives of the people, we become equitable in sharing our resources, Mr. Speaker. And that is why the Constitution gave us a mandate to look. Otherwise, the Treasury should bring a budget here and we just approve it as they have done. Because the previous Treasury, the previous Ministry of Finance under the previous regimes used to do very dangerous things in terms of sharing of resources of the country. That is why the new Constitution and the framers of this Constitution felt it fit to bring that mandate to the House. And now we want to allow that mandate to be abused in the House, Mr. Speaker. That will not happen. It will not happen over our dead body. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I tell Honorable Melemba, we will stand with you and we will make sure the people of Vihiga get their rightful share of the budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, members. Your leaders have spoken. I just want to advise the House that the Holy Book says, for everything you do to others, expect it to be done to you. For everything you do to others, expect it to be done to you. If you feel it's happy and fair, then it is good. And this constitution, like Ichungwa said without referring to it, the centrality of this new constitution is equity, fairness, and justice. And for all of you who have been given the privilege to serve in committees, you are public trustees. You don't represent yourselves. You represent the country. Because if members of a committee of privilege only work for themselves, how will a member who serves on the library committee ever do anything for their constituencies? So I want to encourage you, and majority and minority leader, please exercise your duties, your responsibilities to ensure that this democratically elected House discharges its duties and responsibilities to the satisfaction of every Kenyan in every part of the country. That a person in Mandera, a person in Vanga, a person in Lokitang, a person in Malaba does not sit in this House to get fairness, because we all have a duty to discharge fairly. So Mboko Milemba, thank you for bringing that point. And majority minority leader, as you have assured the House, move and correct that anomaly so that we have fairness. Those serving in the Finance Committee, I sit in my office and almost everybody wants to serve on that committee. Now I understand why. The Budget Committee, sorry. Everybody wants to serve on the Budget Committee. Now I fully understand why. Budget Committee. Not Finance, Budget. So those who serve in the Budget Committee, you are the trustees of public good. So as everybody else. Whether it's transport, whether it's energy. I get a lot of information. I just encourage you. Many of you are doing your second term, first term, a few doing third term. If you have to live longer, be fair. If you have to live longer, be just. And be equitable in everything you do. Thank you. Farah Malim. Yes, who is calling the speaker? Donya, on the same issue? That one is closed. What is it?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You've guided us that now that our leaders have spoken, it's good to always give the people's leaders to echo the points. Sometimes they can miss something, Honorable Speaker, because they don't carry our heads. Thank you. We echo what they say.
Thank you, Honorable Donya. That is why they are leaders. They carry your interests at all times. Honorable members in the Speaker's gallery, allow me to acknowledge Katunguru Secondary School from Mavioya, Muranga, Gatero Girls
camps. We have starvation in the refugee camps.
I'm calling on the government, our own government, good government, and all other well-wishers in this case, businessmen and individuals.
Order number 12, the County Government's Additional Allocation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 2 of 2025, second reading.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the County Government Additional Allocations Bill, National Assembly Bill number 2 of 2025, be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, this bill, we publish it for the second time, Honorable Speaker, following the lapse of the mediation process on the bill that we had published last year. Honorable Speaker, you know, this additional county allocations bill, the lapse of the mediation process on the bill that we had published last year. Honorable Speaker, you know, this additional county allocations bill has additional allocations that go to the county governments above what we share on the, or rather in the division of revenue bill. And the schedules, Honorable Speaker, that are attached to this bill, about 3 schedules, and the first one shows has conditional allocations to counties from our national government revenues, such as the KIPES money that the national government gives to counties, and other conditional allocations. And many members will remember even the 11 counties that have over the last few years benefited from monies that come as conditional grants to help them build and complete their county headquarters. And that is the first schedule that details all the additional conditional allocations. Then there is a second schedule, Honorable Speaker, that has unconditional allocations to counties from especially monies that come from court fines collected by the judiciary, from contraventions of the county government's legislations. Because, Honorable Speaker, many people are taken to court and levied fines and penalties for having contravened county government legislative proposals or legislations or bylaws in our towns and elsewhere, Honorable Speaker. And this money is then shared between the judiciary and our county governments, since it is their laws that were contravened. And those now come as unconditional allocations. The third schedule contains conditional allocations from proceeds of loans and grants from development partners. Honorable Speaker, many of these loans and grants touch on very sensitive areas of our national resources management. And if you look at the schedule, Honorable Speaker, you see money from IDA on water and sanitation that touch on healthcare. You see money that goes to the Kenya Urban Support Program on urban development grants, grants that have transformed in a great manner many of our towns, including my own town in Kikuyu. Kikuyu town was transformed through allocations by the World Bank program under the Kenya Urban Support Program. There is a KISIP, the Kenya Informal Settlement Improvement Project, that has benefited many people, especially those in urban areas where there are informal settlements. And they have benefited immensely from these allocations, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, sad, Honorable Speaker, that last year we lost the opportunity to pass this bill, because when we published this bill and it went to the other house, they included the road maintenance levy fund an amount of about 10 billion shillings in this bill and amended. And when we disagreed with them, Honorable Speaker, we went into a mediation process that then lapsed at the end of the last financial year. The import of that lapse, Honorable Speaker, is that our counties continue to lose. And when our county governments are losing, Honorable Speaker, our constituents are losing. It is our own constituents who can benefit from this water for sanitation. And either the IDA projects or monies that are going to finance locally led climate action programs that are also coming from IDA, food system resilience programs. There is a National Agricultural Value Chain Development Project that has
an amount of almost 5 billion shillings that should be going to our counties, Honorable Speaker. And I gave the case example last week of a county where they are saying they are losing money under these IDA projects.
Order, members. Leader, 1 minute. Order, members. Honorable members. Order. Order, Honorable Soro and team. Please. Order there. Honorable Wangwe. Please, let's consult in low tone because the matter being moved by the leader is an important matter that affects our counties. You may proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I was giving the case example of a county that I don't want to name, where we are being told because of the impasse on the RMLF and this bill that came out of the RMLF and moved on to this additional county allocations bill. A county governor was telling me they are losing 1.1 billion shillings that should be going to water and sanitation and health programs because of 173 million shillings that should be going to RMLF. And that is the case across the country, not just that one county, which I take the liberty not to name, Honorable Speaker, so that I don't expose that governor to their colleagues in the Council of Governors. And I'm saying that, Honorable Speaker, because I really want to plead with the Council of Governors and the Senate to allow this bill to pass as published. Because we are in the last 2-3 months to the end of this financial year. It is sad that 3 months to the end of the financial year, we are yet to finalize with these additional county allocations. And as I was saying, the loss is not to the National Treasury. The loss is not to the National Assembly. The loss is not to the Senate or to the Council of Governors. The loss is to the people of Kenya who cannot access funds, Honorable Speaker, going into their healthcare programs, funds going into water and sanitation, funds going to improve infrastructure under the KUSIP and KISIP programs. And I know there are many counties, Honorable Speaker, including my own county of Kiambu, where we had roads, for instance, my road in a place called Ondire, and another one that goes from Renguti through Kanyayo to join the Ondire Makaresha Road, that were to be done under the KUSIP funds. But they cannot be done because of this grandstanding in pursuit of just 10 billion shillings, while we have other billions that are being held in this bill. And therefore want to implore on the Senate and our Council of Governors to allow this bill to be approved by this House and the other House to give them additional allocations over and above the division of revenue. We'll be publishing before the end of this week the division of revenue bill for the financial year 2025-2026. But how sad that we are publishing another division of revenue bill and subsequently another additional allocations bill for the next financial year, where we are here to finalize with the one for this current financial year. Therefore, I want to urge members to support and plead with the other House not to wait for this bill to go to them and they amend to bring in again the RMLF funds, because they know the challenge that is the RMLF or the fuel levy funds. They know the challenge that they will encounter in this House. And therefore, it is punishing counties and punishing our own constituents if they disagree. And therefore, as I move, I want to request that the other House, that when we approve this bill, and I do hope that we'll be able to approve it, hopefully before we proceed on the short recess or immediately after, that we allow counties, Honorable Speaker, to access these monies. If I look through this bill, Honorable Speaker, I see a total of, especially on the county aggregation industrial parks, and I saw His Excellency the President inspecting the one in Busia, and beautiful work ongoing. Many other counties, including the county of Kiambu, Kirinyaga, Kwale, Machakos, Meru, Migori, Mombasa, Murang'a, Nakuru, Nandi, Nyamira, Siaya, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu. they ought to be benefiting, plus many others, at least 19 counties. Each county is slated to receive 105.3 million for the county aggregation and industrial parks. These county aggregation and industrial parks are not just creating opportunities for our farmers and our business people to get a place where they can carry on their trade, but it's also creating opportunities, employment opportunities for people in our counties, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, every minute that we lose, we are losing job opportunities. We are losing opportunities for these 19 counties to access this money, Honorable Speaker. If you look at the community health promoters money, Honorable Speaker, it's also in this bill. Part of what was envisaged under the health laws that we passed was that the national government, together with the county governments, would put resources together to pay stipends to our community health promoters to help in the actualization of the universal health coverage dream, Honorable Speaker, which is now a reality under the Social Health Insurance Fund. But it cannot succeed if we are not adequately resourcing our community health promoters. Their money is in this bill. Therefore, I urge our colleagues in the other house again to help. There are also salary arrears, Honorable Speaker, for county government health workers. Following the return of the return to work formula that was agreed on between the Health Workers Association and the governments, the national government committed to provide the first phase of the bargain in the 2024-2025 financial year, amounting to 1.759 billion. And the bill contains a similar provision towards settlement of the salary arrears of the health workers in the counties as per the number of doctors in a county. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, you've seen our health workers threatening to go on strike because of these arrears from the collective bargaining agreements, and this money is in this bill. I'm only mentioning these things, Honorable Speaker, for everybody to bear the weight of the importance of this bill and why we do not need to fight between us, the Senate, and the Council of Governors on the enactment of this bill. And I really want to plead with them, and this opportunity to plead with them, to allow this bill to pass as published so that these counties can access these monies and our people benefit, Honorable Speaker. With those very many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request the Honorable Jematia, who is a member of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, what the Honorable Junaid Mohammed called among the remnants that are remaining in that committee, because they considered this bill to second this bill, and I beg to move, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Jematia.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. And I must say, it is not very palatable now to be a member of a budget committee, but I think we did our best. Also to say, the work of budget committee is not done by members only. It is done by departmental and all of us.
Honorable Jematia, you are getting out of order.
Thank you.
Proceed to second.
And as I second this bill, which is very timely, Mr. Speaker, I also want to reiterate what the leader of majority have told us, that it is key that we pass this bill at this time because it's a very timely bill. And Mr. Speaker, I must also say, I don't envy being a governor in Kenya today because of the things, most of the problems, monetary problems that they go through. And if you see and look at the activities that is happening in the counties, the biggest problem in the counties is lack of funds. And this bill is going to enable governors dispatch and do their work comfortably, and specifically on matters grants, on matters universal health coverage, and even the aggregation of industrial parks that has been launched several times by the head of state and the wishes of the people of these counties. Mr. Speaker, this additional funds is going to take this country through the counties in a very positive way. And I only hope that the governors are going to be better managers and make sure these monies are not lost along the way through corruption embezzlement, and privileges, so that we are able to build this country and embrace our other level of governance, that is the counties, and devolution, and enable Kenyans to get better services through this money. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And you beg to give her the mic?
And I beg to support. Thank you. 2 seconds, sorry. 2 seconds.
Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, order. Honorable members, I now propose the question that the County Government's Additional Allocations Bill, National Assembly Bill number 2 of 2025, be now read a second time. We have on my screen here, number 1, Joshua Mwalio. And number 2, Wilberforce Oundo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to stand here and support the County Government Additional Allocation Bill, Bill number 2 of 2025. Honorable Speaker, the essence of devolution was to disperse funds to the rural areas, to get funds from the center so they can go to the periphery. Honorable Speaker, the idea was equity, because in many days during KANU's days, whenever you never used to vote for KANU or for President Moi, your area will be starved of development. You will be told, hakuna pesa, hakuna pesa, hakuna pesa, hakuna pesa. And Honorable Speaker, I remember when they wanted you to vote for them, for KANU in a nearby election, they will bring electricity poles, sprinkle them around. If the elections don't go the right way, the poles are carried away, like happened in Kipipiri, I think 1993 or 1994. It's the wisdom of Baba Raila Amolo Odinga, who has fought relentlessly for devolution, that now we have a situation where at least some substantial amount of money goes to the counties every single year, regardless of their political inclination. And for this, all Kenyans will be forever be grateful to the magnanimity, resiliency, and the ability to struggle for the common people of Kenya in the name of Raila Amolo Odinga. Honorable Speaker, when we undertook the new constitution of 2010, it obviously became at every budgeting point there are residual funds that remain in the national government. And that residual funds, it therefore means they must be disbursed to the counties. It's the wisdom of this House that we came up that we have an annual additional county allocation bill each year to look at the services that ought to be devolved, that have retained to the national level, to look at what are areas of collaboration, so that as we collaborate between the national level and the county government, then funds follow functions. It's on that score, Honorable Speaker, that we are here today. Honorable Speaker, in totality, Honorable Speaker, the county governments are getting a substantial amount of money in additional allocation. And this, Honorable Speaker, goes towards, first of all, CAIP, that's County Aggregation Industrial Park. There's go to community health promoters. We go to basic salary arrears for county health workers. Honorable Speaker, we go to the issue of court fines that are also being given to the counties. Honorable Speaker, we go to the loans and grants that are also being given to the counties and shared and guaranteed by the national government. What are we saying, Honorable Speaker? We are saying, in addition to the equitable share, they are going to get 410. There is additional funds. Honorable Speaker, unfortunately, we are only 3 weeks or 3 months to the end of the financial year. We are here where we are because of the intransigent behavior of the Senate and the big-headed behavior of the Council of Governors. If we had resolved this thing much, much earlier, the funds will be ready in the counties to undertake the relevant functions. Honorable Speaker, We like it or not, between now and the end of the year, financial year, it's very unlikely, Honorable Speaker, that a number of these funds, this allocation meant for physical projects will be absorbed. Very unlikely. The 10 billion or so, 10 billion or so, is unlikely to be absorbed. What the governors will do, will pack the money in their accounts. As the Controller of Budgets always says, they have a spent amount of money. So, Honorable Speaker, we do expect by the end of, once the disbursement has gone through, once Senate has passed as it is, and the disbursement have gone through, Honorable Speaker, we expect our health workers, the community health promoters, ought to be paid their salary arrears that some have been running for several months. Because that's the anchor of universal health care. Without health promoters, then we have really nothing on it. Honorable Speaker, we also want to bring to the attention to the counties that the loans and the grants that we are being shared to the counties, this is public debt. And public debt invariably must be used for the purposes that was meant for. Remember, we continue to saddle the people of Kenya with additional debts. We must therefore, at all, whatever it happens, we must get it done in the right way. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, is related to this matter. Let me take this opportunity to thank the Cabinet of Kenya for approving the elevation of Bumbe TTI to be a national polytechnic. Honorable Speaker, I remember nostalgia. In 1977 or 78, as a small boy, lining up on the road with a miniature can flag, a national flag, singing good songs, to patriotic song, to the then Vice President Moi, when he was driving all the way to go and launch the as a youth polytechnic, 1970-something. Honorable Speaker, because of geopolitics and because they hated some of us, we have been requesting this oldest polytechnic to be elevated national polytechnic. We have always been given a wide berth. But today, somehow, by the miracle of God, we have now a national polytechnic. And I urge you, Honorable Speaker, to continue praying for people of Busia, because many times we are ignored. Nothing ever good comes to our place. Even when they are sharing things in this place, you never hear anybody from Busia being mentioned anywhere. Even the little that we have is normally taken away. With those very many marks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Very well, Honorable Undo, but Busia has had two finance ministers. You remember Honorable Kemo and Masahalia. Anyway, that's a discussion for another day. The Honorable Francis Sigay. You are on my list here. If you are not ready to speak on this, the Honorable Richard Yegon. Is Richard Yegon in the house? Okay. Those who want to speak on this, could you put interventions? Yes, Ferdinand Wanyonyi.
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me this chance to support wholeheartedly this additional funds. I think, the Speaker, this is very, very important additional fund because one, I want this, as mentioned by the Speaker, by the Majority Leader, to be passed as soon as possible because out there, I am coming from Trans Nzoia, and Trans Nzoia is actually mentioned in this particular bill, and I want it to be passed as soon as possible because quite a number of things are outstanding, and they actually, it can't move. One is that it has been very difficult for the counties to account for some of the money that actually were given. But more so, Mr. Speaker, I've also realized that in my county, there are projects, very serious projects, that are standstill because there's no additional money. One is, I think, the market. We have a market that actually still not, nothing's moving, but I think this additional money will be able to assist the market to actually be completed. And of course, as mentioned by the mover of this particular bill, one is that we'll be creating jobs, both for Mama Mboga and other people that to be able to access the this marketplace so that you can be able to create jobs, both for our mothers out here, our sisters out there, and of course the youth. And as it said in Kiswahili, mjakwa chembe si mkulima. So we are hoping and praying that this again is going to help our people to be able to be more creative in actually expanding their abilities and their resources, and particularly the farmers. Because one is that if this market, for example, in Trans Nzoia, is completed on time, of course, there'll be people who will be not be coming to me for handouts and what have you. That would be just be able to assist them in whatever they need. But I think this is a very important, and I want this to be passed as